I never thought I'd be the guy writing a story like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been married to Lisa for about 8 years now. We've had our ups and downs, but I genuinely thought we were solid. We've built a life together, nice house, decent jobs, a couple of kids. The kind of life you think will last forever, right? Well, turns out I was dead wrong about that. It all started about a month ago. Lisa had been acting weird, more irritable than usual, snapping at the slightest thing, avoiding me even when I tried to talk. I mean, I get it. Life gets stressful, but something felt off. She started canceling plans, saying she was busy with her book club or work stuff, but I'd catch her sneaking around on her phone more than usual. She'd hide the screen whenever I entered the room. Small stuff, but enough to make me suspicious. One evening, I decided to surprise her. I planned a little date night, just us dinner, maybe a movie. I wanted to reconnect after a rough week. I got home early from work and I saw her car was still in the driveway. I was happy, thinking maybe she's finally in a better mood. But when I went inside, the house was eerily quiet. No sign of her, and her purse was missing from the hook by the door. That's strange because she never leaves her purse behind unless she's planning to stay out all night. I checked her phone, which I don't normally do, trust but verify, right? And saw a bunch of strange messages. Nothing explicit at first, just flirty stuff. Can't wait to see you tonight. Miss you already, and some emoji-laden bullshit. Nothing out of the ordinary for a secret flirtation, but enough to make my stomach drop. I knew in my gut something was wrong. Then I decided to check the recent photos on her phone. That's when I saw it. A picture she took of herself in the mirror, but not just any selfie. She was in some hotel room topless, and there was this guy in the background, tall, wearing a leather jacket, looking like he just stepped off a stage. The caption was "Finally," with a heart emoji. My blood went cold. I recognized the guy. It was Ryan, the local musician she's always fawning over after his shows. She's obsessed with him. I mean, she's seen him perform more times than she's seen our own kids' school plays. And that's when I knew for sure. She's been cheating on me with Ryan. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My knees went weak. The betrayal hit me like a freight train, but I kept it together. I closed her phone, took a breath, and started piecing everything together. She'd been lying about her whereabouts, covering her tracks. I realized she'd been sneaking around behind my back for who knows how long. I wasn't just hurt, I was furious. But I knew I couldn't just confront her without a plan. Not yet. I needed to see more. I needed to know just how deep this went. That night I didn't sleep. I stayed up thinking about everything, what she said, what she did, how I missed all the signs. I felt stupid, used, betrayed. But I also felt a burning need for justice, to make her finally own up to what she'd done. Because I wasn't going to let her get away with this, not without a fight. I knew I had to act carefully. I couldn't just blow up at her without evidence. I wanted her to see I knew, to understand that I wasn't some fool who could be lied to forever. So I decided to stake out the house the next night to see if she'd slip up again, or if Ryan or whoever else she was cheating with was coming over. I wanted to catch her in the act if I could. And that's where I stand now. Sitting here, waiting, feeling all kinds of messed up. I never thought I'd be in this situation, but here I am. Betrayed, angry, and trying to figure out what the hell to do next. The next night I stayed up late, sitting in the dark, watching the house through the window. I didn't want to tip her off, so I kept quiet, just waiting and observing. My nerves were shot, I'll admit. Every noise outside sounded like a threat. I kept telling myself to stay calm, to be patient. Whatever was going to happen, I needed to see it with my own eyes. About an hour past midnight, I noticed her car pulling into the driveway. A sleek black sedan I didn't recognize. My heart started pounding harder. She was home, but more importantly, she was not alone. I watched her get out, quick steps, hurried as if she was trying not to be seen. Then she opened the door and disappeared inside. I stayed put, trying to breathe, trying to process what I was seeing. A few minutes later, the door opened again. She stepped out, wearing a different outfit, more revealing, something that looked like she was going out for trouble. Then right behind her, Ryan appeared. I recognized him immediately. He looked exactly like the guy in her selfie, the same leather jacket, same tall, confident stance. They exchanged a few words, quiet but intense, and then she kissed him. Not just a friendly peck. No, this was a full-on, tongue-involved, passionate kiss right there in front of my house. My stomach twisted. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was like a punch to the stomach, but I hadn't needed any more confirmation. I wanted to scream, to run out there and confront her, but I knew better. I had to be smart. I pulled out my phone and started recording. I needed evidence. I needed everything. On tape. While they kept kissing, I zoomed in, capturing every second. I filmed her hands on his chest, her lips pressed to his. This was real. This was happening. I was watching my wife cheat on me with the guy she's obsessed with in our own driveway. They stayed outside for about 15 minutes. I kept recording, my hands trembling. My mind was racing, thoughts of betrayal, what I should do, how I'd confront her. I felt sick, angry, humiliated. All I could think about was how I'd been played for a fool all this time. I'd trusted her. I'd believed in us. And she'd been sneaking around with Ryan, lying about everything. Finally, they broke apart and she hurried inside, leaving Ryan standing there for a moment, looking around like he was checking if anyone saw him. Then he got into his car and drove off. I stayed there, watching until the taillights disappeared down the street. That's when I finally got up, trembling, and went inside. I knew I had what I needed, evidence. That was the turning point. I had everything I wanted, proof of her cheating in her own driveway in the middle of the night. I never thought I'd feel this way, but I was glad I stayed up. Glad I caught her red-handed. Part of me wanted to break down, to cry, to scream. But I didn't. I just sat alone in the dark, staring at the recordings, trying to process what I'd just seen. I'd known she was lying, but seeing her kiss him like that, knowing she'd been pretending to be faithful, made everything real. I kept thinking about our life together, how she always said she loved me, how she claimed she was just friends with Ryan, how she'd lie about where she was going, why she'd hide her phone. And all along she was sneaking around, doing this behind my back. My trust was shattered. Every thought, every memory I had of us was tainted now. I felt like I didn't even know who she was anymore. What made it worse was the way she lied to my face every time I asked questions, tried to get her to open up. She'd get bitchy, call me paranoid, accuse me of not trusting her like I was the crazy one. But now I see she's the crazy one, the one who's been playing me. For a fool, I kept telling myself I'd confront her, that I'd demand answers, but honestly I was too stunned to do anything that night. I just sat there staring at the recordings, trying to think through what I should do next. The betrayal hurt more than I ever thought possible. It's like my whole world is crumbling around me. I don't even know what to feel anymore. Rage, sadness, disappointment, all of it wrapped into one big mess. I guess I knew deep down that this would change everything, but I didn't want to believe it. I refused to see her in that light, even when the signs were there. Now it's all out in the open and I don't see a way back from this. The morning after I filmed everything, I woke up feeling like I'd been run over by a truck. I kept replaying what I saw last night, over and over, trying to make sense of it. Part of me wanted to wake her up, to ask her straight out what the hell was going on. But I knew better. My mind kept racing with all the possible ways she'd spin her lies, and I did. Want to be a fool again, falling for her bullshit. Instead, I spent the day planning my next move. I didn't want to go full-blown confrontation blindly. I needed to be strategic. I decided I'd gather more evidence, just to be sure. I also wanted to see if she'd slip up again, maybe give herself away. I couldn't believe I was even considering giving her the benefit of the doubt after last night, but part of me still hoped this was some big mistake, a misunderstanding or some stupid flirtation that could be resolved. That day, she acted bizarrely. She was snappy, dismissive, and kept lying about where she'd been. Every time I asked her what she was doing, she'd brush me off, call me paranoid, or try to deflect. It was clear she knew I caught her, but she was trying to play it cool, acting innocent. That made me madder still. I just kept quiet, pretending I didn't see her avoid my questions, knowing I had the evidence on my phone. Late that afternoon, I decided to go into her bathroom. I'd seen her hide her phone in there sometimes. She always had a spot she kept her secret stuff. I had to see if she'd left any clues. Sure enough, there was a new message thread, just a few texts sent that morning. I quickly read them, and of course they were from Ryan. Flirty, suggestive, like, "Can't wait to see you tonight. had to sneak out early, and some emojis. It was clear she was planning to meet him again. That's when I felt a new wave of anger. How long had she been doing this? How many nights had she sneaked out? I started to think about all the times she'd lied to me, all those girls' nights she'd claimed were innocent. It was all bullshit. She was cheating and I'd been blind to it. I decided I couldn't keep waiting. I had enough. I needed to confront her, but I didn't want a shouting match in the heat of the moment. I wanted her to face the truth, see the evidence, and understand just how badly she'd screwed up. I made a plan. I'd wait until she came home, then lay everything out in front of her. I'd show her the recordings, the texts, everything. No more excuses, no more lies. When she finally came back that evening, she was her usual bitchy self, snapping at me for no reason, acting like I was overreacting. I kept my cool, just watching her, waiting for the right moment. As she went to the kitchen to grab a drink, I pulled out my phone and hit play on the recording. I wanted her to see herself kissing Ryan, to see how much she'd lied to my face. I watched her reaction closely. That moment she saw herself on the screen, her face went pale. Her eyes widened, and for a second she couldn't speak. I said, "Lisa, care to explain this? Because I've got the whole thing recorded. You've been cheating on me, haven't you?" She tried to deny it initially, of course. She called me crazy, said I was paranoid, that I was overthinking everything. But I just kept showing her the evidence. The texts, the photos, the recordings. Her face twisted into some bitchy glare, and then she started lying again, saying it was just sex, that it didn't mean anything, that Ryan was just a friend. Yeah, right. A friend she was sneaking out to see late at night. I couldn't believe her. She was so brazen, so full of shit. I just stared at her, feeling the rage boil inside me. How could she be so dismissive, so nasty when I called her out? It was like she thought she was untouchable, like she could do whatever she wanted and I'd just accept it. The worst part was the way she lied, trying to gaslight me, making me doubt my own eyes and ears. She kept saying, "It's not what it looks like," even as she looked guilty as hell. It hit me then. She'd been lying for so long she didn't even care anymore. She believed her own bullshit. I told her she was done, that I wasn't going to put up with her crap. I told her I saw everything, that I knew about her affair with Ryan, and that I was done playing games. Her bitchy attitude only got worse. She called me a jealous idiot, accused me of spying on her, said I was crazy for even caring. But I knew the truth, and I wasn't about to let her keep lying her way out of this one. I told her I needed some space, that I was going to think about everything, about whether I even wanted to stay married to someone who could betray me so completely. I left her standing there, furious and defiant, while I went asleep with the recordings on my mind. I knew this was only the beginning. The real work was just starting. The days that followed were a blur. I kept replaying everything in my head, her sneaky texts, the way she kissed Ryan, her dismissive attitude when I confronted her. I'd never felt so betrayed, so humiliated. The worst part was how dismissive she was about it all, like she thought she was untouchable, like I was just some fool she could manipulate forever. But I wasn't going to be played anymore. I knew I had to do something, but I wasn't sure what yet. I just knew that I couldn't stay in that house, not with her anymore. I started to plan my next move carefully. I knew I couldn't just leave, not without some leverage. I needed to know how deep her lies went and how far she was willing to go. So I began digging into her phone, her emails, her social media. I wanted every piece of dirt I could find. I knew I was crossing lines, but I didn't care anymore. This was about me, about my dignity. If she was going to cheat on me, I was going to make sure she paid for it. While doing that, I also called a lawyer. I wanted to be prepared. I knew divorce was probably inevitable now, but I didn't want to rush into anything. I needed to gather evidence to support me, especially if she tried to deny everything or turn the tables. I'd also decided to keep quiet about the recordings and texts until I was ready. I didn't want to tip her off, not yet. I wanted her to think she was still in control, while I slowly took my power back. Meanwhile, she kept up her manipulative attitude, trying to gaslight me, calling me crazy, paranoid, and jealous. She kept insisting that Ryan was just a friend, that I was overreacting. That only made me angrier, but I kept my cool. Every time she threw a fit or tried to turn things around on me, I just stayed silent, collecting more evidence. I knew she was trying To wear me down, she's good at that kind of game, but I was determined not to let her. One night she went out again, supposedly to meet her book club. I knew better. It was another night with Ryan. I followed her from a distance just to see where she'd go. Sure enough, she pulled into the same parking lot where she met him last time. I parked a few blocks away and watched her go inside the same hotel. That's when I decided I'd had enough. I had what I needed. I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. The next day I sat her down. I told her I knew everything. I laid out all the evidence, the recordings, the texts, the photos. She looked furious, then panicked. She started screaming, calling me all kinds of names, accusing me of spying, of ruining her life. She tried to deny everything, but I just played the recordings, showed her the texts. She was caught, plain and simple. No way out this time. Her reaction was something else. She looked at me like I was the crazy one. She said, "You don't understand, Mike. Ryan's just a rebound. It's not serious." Yeah, right. She kept lying, trying to minimize what she'd done, but I wasn't buying it anymore. It was obvious she was trying to save face, but I wasn't interested in that. I told her I wanted a divorce. I wanted her out of my life. She didn't take it well. She yelled, called me a jealous psycho, said I was ruining everything. She even accused me of spying on her and accused me of being insecure. I couldn't believe how selfish she was. I told her she'd push me to my limit and that I'd be making arrangements to get everything sorted. I wasn't about to be the fool she thought I was anymore. This was the end of the line. The most surprising thing was her attitude afterward. Instead of begging or trying to fix things, she just shrugs and acts like nothing has changed. Like she already won. That made me realize she's really that bitchy and manipulative. Honestly, I felt relief in a weird way, like a huge weight had been lifted. I'd finally faced her lies, her cheating, and I was taking back control of my life. I knew the process wouldn't be easy, but I was ready. Looking back, I realize I've learned a lot. About trust, about how people can lie to your face and act like they're innocent. About how sometimes you have to be ruthless to protect yourself. And about how you can't fix someone who refuses to see their own faults. I'm not saying I'm fully healed. I still feel hurt, betrayed, angry. But I also feel a strange sense of clarity. I know what I need to do now, and I won't let her or anyone else tear me down again. After I told her I wanted a divorce, she just stood there, mouth open, like I'd slapped her. For a second I thought she'd break down, maybe finally show some remorse or at least admit she was wrong, but nope. Instead, she looked at me with that same bitchy glare and said, "You're overreacting, Mike. You're crazy. All this is just your paranoia. You're ruining everything because you're insecure." Honestly, I wanted to punch her. The audacity of that girl. She kept insisting it was just sex, just some stupid mistake she'd made out of boredom or some midlife crisis. She told me Ryan was just a rebound, that it didn't mean anything, that she still loved me but was just confused. I almost laughed. I told her she was full of shit. There was no way she was that naive or that stupid. She knew exactly what she was doing, a full-blown affair with a guy she's obsessed with behind my back. How could she expect me to buy her bullshit now? I told her she needed to pack her shit and get out of the house. I wasn't going to keep living with a liar, a cheat, someone who had no respect for me or our marriage. She tried to argue, to guilt-trip me, saying I was being irrational, that I was pushing her away. But I didn't care anymore. I was done. I was sick of her acting like she was the victim while she was the one who'd been screwing around and lying all along. She finally grabbed a bag, huffing and cursing, and stormed out. As she left, she shot me a nasty look and said, "You'll regret this, Mike. You'll see, I'll find someone better." That's exactly what she said, like she was proud of herself for screwing around behind my back. That moment, that little part of me that still hoped she'd change or admit the truth, shattered completely. I watched her drive off, feeling a strange mix of relief and emptiness. Meanwhile, I started packing her things myself. I felt numb, like I was on autopilot. Every box I packed, every piece of her stuff I sorted, was another step away from her betrayal. I didn't want to cry, didn't want to get emotional. I just wanted her gone. The house felt different now, cold, empty, like her presence had been erased. I'd spent so many nights dreaming about this moment, and now that it was here, it hit me harder than I thought. Throughout all this, I kept replaying the recordings, the texts, the videos, every piece of evidence I had against her. I knew I'd need them for the divorce proceedings, but honestly, I didn't want her to think I was doing this out of spite. I just needed to protect myself, to make sure she couldn't spin her lies. I wanted her to face the consequences of what she'd done. A part of me felt guilty. Guilty for believing in the marriage, guilty for trusting her, guilty for not seeing the signs sooner. But mostly I felt betrayed. I thought I knew her, thought we had something real. Now I realize she's a different person, someone selfish, manipulative, and completely unfaithful. I guess I was naive for thinking she was different. Love does that to you sometimes. It blinds you to reality. I reached out to a lawyer that day, started the divorce process, and made arrangements to move out temporarily while everything was sorted. I told my friends and family, and surprisingly, most of them were supportive. Some of them said I'd be better off without her, that she's not worth the pain. That helped numb some of the hurt, at least for a little while. I kept telling myself I deserved better, that I'd be okay, even if right now everything feels shattered. Now I'm just trying to get through each day, trying not to let the anger consume me, trying to focus on rebuilding my life. I know it's going to take time, but I'm not giving up. I've learned a brutal lesson about trust and betrayal, and I'm determined to come out of this stronger. Still hurts like hell, though. Every time I think about her, I feel this mix of rage and sadness. But I'll survive. I have to. It's been a few weeks since I kicked her out and started the divorce process. Honestly, I don't even recognize myself anymore. The initial shock has worn off, replaced by a dull ache that still lingers beneath the surface. I've been trying to focus on rebuilding, seeing friends, working more hours, trying to find some sense of normalcy amid the chaos. But honestly, the hardest part is the constant replay of everything I found out, all the lies, the betrayal. What hits hardest now is realizing how much I trusted her, how I thought she loved me, how I thought we were solid. Turns out I was just another fool in her game. She was so full of herself, so convinced she could get away with what she did. But I guess she underestimated me. The evidence I collected, the recordings, the texts, they're my shield now. They remind me I wasn't crazy or paranoid. I was just betrayed by someone I loved and trusted. I've come to accept that she's not coming back, at least not in the way I wanted. And honestly, that's a relief. It's freeing too. Finally see her for what she is, selfish, manipulative, and unfaithful. I don't hold on to anger or hatred as much anymore. Instead, I feel a strange sense of clarity. I see clearly now that I deserve honesty, loyalty, and respect, and I won't settle for less. As for the future, I know I'll be okay. I've started seeing a counselor, trying to work through everything. It's not easy, but it's necessary. I want to rebuild my confidence, learn to trust again, but this time more carefully. I also plan to focus more on my kids, making sure they see a strong, kind of cautious dad who's not going to let a betrayal like this shatter him completely. Looking back, I learned a brutal but valuable lesson. Trust is a fragile thing. It can be broken in seconds by someone you love. And sometimes the only way to protect yourself is to accept the truth, no matter how ugly it gets. Ignoring the signs or hopping things will change only makes the fall worse when you finally see everything clearly. So, what do I want others to take from this? Don't ignore your gut. Don't let someone deceive you for too long. And if you catch them, don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. It hurts like hell, but honesty and integrity matter more than staying in a lie. Keep your boundaries firm. Don't be the fool who stays quiet while someone cheats behind your back. In the end, I'm glad I saw everything for what it was. It's broken, yes. But now I can start to put the pieces back together on my own terms. I still feel the sting, but I also feel hope. Things will get better. I know that now. I just have to keep moving forward, one step at a time.